So next up, there is a lot of times I get asked a question, a legal question, and they are individuals that may not need help by someone like me, may not need an attorney, but they may need a bit of guidance. Other people are independent, very independent, so much so that they'll file their own lawsuits. I just saw one the other day of an employee who filed their own lawsuit against an employer, and that's never good. Well, never good. That can be difficult, put it you that way. And so, how do you find this middle ground in terms of identifying what my problem is and figuring out who I need to help me do whatever it is that I need to do? That's where ProSe Legal comes in. Kym Lewis is with us today, and I'm going to have her talk a little bit about just her own background with helping other communities, disadvantaged communities, and a passion for providing those types of services and how it came to bear with ProSe Legal Services. This is the answer, folks, for people that call me and say, should I do prepaid legal? Should I do legal Zoom? Or whatever else. And what I tell people about that is they provide a service, and they provide a service that's valuable. But what you really want is to provide a relationship. Because if you can provide a relationship, now you've got somebody that you trust that's letting you know whether or not you need to call an attorney or whether or not you can do thing X or Y or Z. So for instance, you call LegalZoom or whatever company, I'm not trying to bust anybody out or anything, and you know that you want an LLC. You've heard about LLCs because they're easy to sign up. They're easy to put together. You've heard about that. However, has your tax person let you know that an LLC is the best thing for you from a tax standpoint? Maybe a corporation is the best thing for you. So how do you put all that together? And I think that this service that Kimberly is going to be helping to provide as a lead paralegal at ProSe is going to really help people connect the dots. Kimberly, how are you?
I'm well. Thank you so much. Good afternoon.
Good. My mind is in Hawaii, so I would say good morning. But here in California, it's 12:45. So let us know how what it is that you've done and what you're passionate about has connected you to ProSe Legal, and then we're going to talk about what they offer.
Community outreach has always been a strong point for me. I love helping individuals. I love connecting individuals with the necessary resources that they need. So I'm sitting here in the back of the studio where you are, and I have about 2 pages of notes from all the other presenters. It was such an amazing information. And we at ProSe Legal, we're kind of on the ground with the general public that are going to be coming in and needing assistance in document preparation, but we also want to be a resource. So again, I have 2 pages of notes just from all of your presenters. ProSe Legal, we are a new legal document preparation business. We are bonded and registered paralegals or legal document assistants in Riverside and San Bernardino counties. What that means is that we have the education and the experience as a paralegal. We're just not working under an attorney anymore. So that's why we're classified as legal document assistants. In the areas that we assist people is going to be family law, probate, wills and trusts, powers of attorney, deed property transfers, deeds, immigration, and forming a business. So I really appreciate your intro into ProSe Legal. We also offer flat rate services. So again, if you call us and you are self-represented, you have a stack of papers, and let me give you an example. For instance, a probate. Mom passes away, your mom's only child. You think simple enough, I should inherit the property in whatever bank account she has. So you go into the court tells you need to open a probate, and they hand you a stack of paper yay big. Well, that's a little overwhelming, That's where we come in. You can come into our office. We will assist you in filling out that paperwork and actually filing that paperwork on your behalf. Again, you're a young entrepreneur. You have a goal and a desire to start a new business. You know what you need to do, but just not quite sure how to do that. How to file those paperwork with the Secretary of State, or actually what what the forms entail. So we're here to go ahead and to help you do that as well. One thing that a lot of people ask us is what makes us different than an online service, for instance. Well, number one, we're local, we're in your neighborhood. You can actually check our backgrounds to make sure that we are who we say that we are. A lot of times when you go on the online services, you really don't know who's working on your paperwork, and you can't really call them to go ahead and to ask them questions. Because we have a local office in Ontario, and soon we'll be having offices in Calamasa, Fontana, and Eastvale. We truly are your neighborhood legal document preparers. Why do I say that? Driving down the street on your way to the grocery store, you see all of our signage and think, oh yeah, I need to go in there and get that power of attorney that I've been putting off forever and a day. Or, oh yeah, I did get filed, served with divorce papers, and I don't know how to fill these back out. Again, that's what makes us local.
So talk about the difference between being in a contested action versus non-contested, because one of the problems that I end up having when I'm telling people why either their case isn't what it needs to be or why it may have been, but I can't help them, is because they have taken on an adversarial situation without the knowledge of taking it on. So let us know the box that that ProSe Legal fills, just the notion that this is something where you need some help, but you don't have it contested on the other side.
So in other words, family law, for instance, and I really appreciate all the information that the family law attorney gave. It was invaluable information. So for instance, you go ahead and you say, well, my significant other and I are getting ready to file for divorce. Everything seems to be on the up and up. We agree in every aspect. So you go and you start the paperwork, and then all of a sudden it changes. So then you come into our office. Well, that's where we don't deal in contested situations. So that's where we would actually go ahead and refer you to one of our referral sources. And that's another thing that ProSe wants to go ahead and really have an impact in is creating those community partnerships that will better serve our clients within the community. So again, the individual comes in, the simple divorce turned into a now ugly divorce. We want to be able to refer you to an attorney who is going to go ahead and walk you through that whole process very efficiently.
And I think we can safely say that some of the people that we might be referring to are some of the people that we saw today.
Oh, absolutely. That's another reason why I was taking 2 pages worth of notes. I really appreciate Jonathan, talking about the stresses. Somebody comes into our office, maybe they're a victim of domestic violence, and they need to go ahead and file the paperwork. They know what they need to do. They just are so stressed out that they can't file the paperwork or fill it out. So they come into our office, we fill it out. But in that conversation, whereas we are creating a relationship, then we can refer them out to another source that's going to go ahead and help them to deal with some of those other issues that they may have. Again, an online service is not going to give you that personable touch. They're not going to give you the relationship aspect of what your legal issue is.
Are there any things that you've seen, and you've been a paralegal for some time, are there any things that you're seeing a little bit more of that you would connect to COVID and or the surrounding economic fallout?
Absolutely. And I'm glad you had said that. COVID's really had an impact on all of us. I think that's one commonality that we all have. COVID has affected us all, however way it has. But kind of a funny story, you're standing in line to get into the grocery store, and then you're standing in line to get out of the grocery store, and you start to engage in conversations with people. I have noticed people are actually more apt to start discussing their frustration. So for instance, I had a lady standing at Vaughn's, and her and I struck up a conversation, and this was her quote free time to get out of the house to go deal with her mother's stuff and her children's stuff and whatnot. The problem that she had was because she did not have a power of attorney, she wasn't able to go to the bank and deal with her mother's issues. So power of attorneys are definitely on an uprise, especially if they have a loved one who's living in senior living, and those senior livings have in fact been shut down, or they are quarantined or sheltering in place. The children just don't have the appropriate medical and financial documents to go ahead and take care of mom and dad's issues. Domestic violence is on an uptick. As the family law attorney said, divorces are on are on an uptick. But it's just those simple documents to help people get from point A to point B is where we come into play.
Have you seen anything lately? There was a comment about saying so many actions are time sensitive. This office could be a big help. Is there anything that sticks out in your mind in terms of time sensitivity, things that people really need to jump on?
Getting their affairs in order.
Yeah.
A lot, estate planning is key. A lot of people think, well, I can't afford to hire a fancy attorney, or I don't have anything. All I have is a simple house and a small bank account. What do I need to have a living trust for? I don't have a large net worth or large estate. That is not true. Anybody who owns a home in California and they pass away and it's not put into a living trust, it will be probated. That is a fact. And the fact is that the probate courts take a very long time. And it's not always how the individual intended it to go. I mean, you and I are brother and sister. Maybe you're mom and dad's favorite. I was not. They pass away. Maybe mom and dad wanted to leave everything to you, but they didn't do proper planning. Now mom and dad pass away. Well, guess what? We go to court and now it's divided 50-50. So there's a lot of reasons to go ahead and to get your affairs in order at this time.
That's exactly what I would have said. And I'll shout out real quickly to, I know some very good probate lawyers in Redlands. Chris Shumate is one. Chris Shumate is one. Bill Nasser in Redlands is another one. And quickly, I do have a lot of people call me about wills, asking about wills and saying, hey, the will says this, or there was no will. Okay.
Right.
And so a will and a trust, a lot of people know to do a will, whether they do it or not, but they don't necessarily know to do a trust. And
correct.
So the will says, this is what's supposed to happen. I want right. Jim to have X or Y or Z. The trust is what keeps that out of probate. Correct. So the court is not the one saying that Chris is supposed to get the house, because correct. If it goes to probate, it's kind of the kiss of death, because it takes time and money. Even if there is a will by itself does not check the box if you don't have a trust, because the trust is what keeps it actually out of probate, which saves you expenses, which saves you time. And I've seen it happen a million times. And of course, some of the most disruptive events are deaths, particularly when instructions are either not clear or the instructions don't have the mechanisms to have them carried out.
Correct. Absolutely. And that's another reason why we at ProSe want to have a close relationship with probate and estate planning attorneys as well. There are some situations where maybe it's not a simple probate. Now, all of a sudden, maybe it's become very contentious. And so that's where we want to have the relationship to go ahead and to refer those people out to the appropriate attorneys. But we also want the attorney to go ahead and feel comfortable referring to us as well, knowing, what, ProSe Legal can actually handle this, for you. Another thing that's going to be changing, especially now with the new administration, is immigration. There for a while, immigration, it was huge. And then of course, it went ahead and it took a lull, and now it's going to go back to how it is. Well, we want to make sure that those people that are filing those petitions for family-based petitions, that they're actually filling out the application correctly, and that they're getting good sound, I can't say advice, but good sound direction on the supporting documents that also need to be filed with that application as well.
Right. That's huge. Talk to me a little bit, because you mentioned this before when we were talking a couple of days ago about the idea that when someone comes to ProSe Legal, there is a relationship actually established with the paralegal. Absolutely. And it's consistent and sustained.
Absolutely. And relationship is key. People have to be very comfortable with you in order to divulge to you, this is the need. These are the papers that I need. I'm just not quite sure. Or even go a step further. This is kind of what's going on in my home. There we can go ahead and have those resources available for them. There's definitely a relationship aspect. I had it in an elderly man give me a call a while back, and he had a question, and I had told him he had received some documents in the mail, and I said, well, why don't you bring the documents into our office and we'll go ahead and review them for you. And he said, no, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to read you the letters that I had received. And God bless him. We were on the phone for quite some time, but he read that whole entire letter. But you know what? That's what relationship's all about. And he, was very thankful that we took the time to listen to him. In fact, then he ended up coming in, and it was a simple notary was all that he needed. But again, that relationship is going to go beyond the walls of our office. And that's definitely what we want. We want to have an impact in the community. We want to be involved in the churches. We want to make sure that the churches also understand that there is quality legal service out there that's non-lawyer, and that we can assist in. And when we cannot, then we will go ahead and refer to our community partners that we have had a relationship with.
Fantastic. I mean, this is going to be really important on the immigration side. One of the folks that I refer to quite a bit is Gene Hayes, who's a dear friend. And I could see some opportunities for us to get together with some folks that are in the area that are doing some things when things are contested and when there's that back and forth and it's super complicated. You also talked a little bit about the vision that we have. We feel like in short order, we'll probably have a few offices open here for ProSe Legal.
Oh, absolutely. So our first office is in Ontario. We are slated to be open February 1st. We are taking clients right now. So I don't want anybody to think who's listening to this that if they have a need, by all means, just go ahead and give us a call. We will definitely service you. Our next offices to be open will be in Calamasa, Eastvale, and Fontana. From there, we would like to go ahead and hit the outer parts of Riverside and San Bernardino counties. Again, truly being that neighborhood legal document preparation office. I can't express to you how exciting this is for me on a personal notion. I've done extensive community outreach throughout the Inland Empire, throughout the state, and even internationally. And the number one issue a lot of people have is, I know what I want. I'm not just quite sure how to get to from point A to point B, or I have a ton of paperwork. I don't understand where to even write my name on these documents.
Sure.
So, that's where we want to be truly a service to the community.
Fantastic. Well, Kimberly, thank you so much. We put up the LinkedIn. The website will be up very soon as well. Dana said Hemet needs you for sure. I think it's just a matter of time before ProSe is next door to Hemet, if not in Hemet.
If I may, actually, we do go to Hemet. I just had a client out there the other day.
Yeah.
And speaking of that, we do have a mobile office. And because of COVID, not everybody is comfortable coming into the office, even though we are following protocol. But again, some people are shut-ins. I just did a estate plan for a family in Yucaipa, and she had a stroke and pretty much was immobile. So we were able to go ahead and to go into her home, do those documents for her, and have those forms notarized, and then filed the deeds on her behalf as well. So again, we completely did a full service for our client.
Fantastic. Well, Kimberly, thank you so much for being with us. I appreciate it. Very excited to see the things that ProSe is going to be doing. I would expect that we'll probably be doing some things together where we're talking about ProSe, and we're in some of the, once we get in house with the churches, with the community centers and things like that, where we can let people know the information that's available and the resources that are available. Those of you that are in that middle ground, you don't want to do it by yourself. You need a little bit of hand holding, but it's not a contested issue where an attorney should be involved. No, we're not trying to get in the attorney lane. ProSe is not trying to get in the attorney lane here. ProSe is trying to help folks score a layup when they need some help, and they believe that there is a gap here to fill, and a community service that one can provide, which is going to be cost effective as well. And there's going to be an honesty that says, for this thing, you need an attorney, and here's who I'd call. And so that's something that you don't get with some of the other services, where you're either doing it yourself, or you may have some time with a designated person or whatever else, but you don't have the relationship that
Correct.
allows you to build and ask other questions that may be in the same universe or get things done that may be in a similar universe. So that's really important. So
Correct.
thanks.
And then just a side note really quick, I mean, a simple notary can totally turn into, I'm coming in to get this notarized and I'm also getting evicted from my home. Well, now I have two resources that I can go ahead and refer a client to. So again, a
Right.
simple notary has now turned into a different conversation,
Right.
which then has led the individual to get some help.
Right. Absolutely. Well, thank you, Kimberly. I appreciate you being with
Thank you
us.
so much.
All right. Talk to you soon.
Okay.
So, again, information. And information is power. We're penalized for what we don't know. And Kimberly talked about something that is very common to us attorneys. My brother-in-law, sister-in-law, Jose Janai. Hey, how you doing? Shout you guys out. They're doctors. And I'm sure that people ask them about all areas of the body. But if I am a heart surgeon, I might know generally about some particular things, but not others. Okay. And so lawyers are the same. Often there was a question, can a person outside of San Bernardino County use the service? Yes, that's the short answer. Get in contact and assume that you can use the service and let them tell you that you can't use the service, because my understanding is that you are going to be